I think what was really positive for us was to see that the state of thinking in UK industry is definitely, moving along. Possibly all that time in lockdown and COVID gave people a chance to really take stock of where they'd been and where they'd like to go, and put some really solid plans in place for their industrial IT systems. The technology part, as always, is the easy part, and I think I was actually really glad to have people spending a bit of time talking about that, because so many of these conversations are dominated by what can my machine tell me, what can a smart sensor tell me. By focusing on the types of data that people are still collecting manually, it really brings into focus that the flow of materials into becoming a final product, it's about a more holistic process than just what data can I get from a machine and how can I measure it. So the technology is easy, and the fact the question was a high priority one says people are looking at the business as a business, not as a collection of bits of tech. What came out for me, again, which was positive, was so many people are now talking about the need to have some way of imposing a model around data that would otherwise be unstructured. And there's a lot of different ways to do it, but the key thing is people know that whether you're delivering a dashboard, whether you're trying to integrate with an ERP, or whether you want to run a machine learning tool, an apple has to be an apple, an orange has to be an orange, and that means somebody has to sit down and say, how do I describe my products, my processes, and the other things that feed into these kinds of applications. So I'm going to betray one of my prejudices. I'm a firm believer that many manufacturers' productivity journeys are a little bit too focused on machine efficiency and a little bit less focused on things like material usage. Why does that matter? It's a bigger portion of the cost, frankly. So I think that as people get smarter about using data to understand the relationship between machines and materials, they'll get multiple bits of payback. Because if you got better yield, then by definition you can buy less stuff, but you get a secondary bit of payback, which is you become a more sustainable manufacturer. And as people begin to understand what levers they can pull there, it potentially plays into longer term plays that make them a more efficient steward of resources, which has big implications in terms of competitive position, keeping the consumer market happy, and even into areas of public policy. I think from our view, we see events like this as being about the rising tide that lifts all boats. So as manufacturers learn from each other and they get good ideas from some of the partners that sponsor these things, then it makes for a buying market that, from our selfish perspective, is more sophisticated, more informed, and better able to put us through our paces. Here, peers get a chance to unload their burdens and understand whether or not they're actually alone, or whether it is possibly just their own environment that occasionally leaves them feeling like the lone voice crying out to, set a direction and accomplish something in particular. So that peer sharing, I think, is really important for that sense of community.